All right, let's go ahead and get started. How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and a early Happy New Year to you. Thanks for taking time out of your holiday week and joining me for the final Workout Wednesday 2022 live stream for this year. And don't worry, I'll be back next year doing these all again. And we're going to have some fun today. So Kyle's got a great challenge for us today. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're dealing with here. So we've got waffle charts. This is relatively simple. Waffle charts are good for showing percent of total or kind of a breakdown of composition, if you will. So 3 waffle charts, one for each customer segment, where each square shows a percentage, is a single percentage, right? And then we'll have some KPIs for those as well. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So I've got Tableau open right here. And what you'll notice, the first thing is we need to create, in order to create waffle charts, you have to densify your data, or you've got to join to a template in order to create this kind of densification. Because essentially what we need to do, if we look at this again, what we need to do is we need to be able to create a square for each possible percentage. All right, so it could be 50%, it could be 52, 31, 19, 1, 99, 100, whatever, right? And in our data right now, we just have the number. So we need to figure out a way to pad our data or densify our data so that we have one for each, a square or a row for every possible percentage. So I have gone ahead and I have created this. I've already created my template, and I've created it a while ago because waffle charts are they're pretty useful to have. And so I created my template, and I put it here in my save data sources. So this is a TDS file, a Tableau data source, and it's a local data source, but it's really simple to use. You can see I also have one here for tile maps. So we know that these, right, all of these come out of the box, right? So you've got Superstore and world indicators, those come out of the box. So these I've added these additional ones, and there's really no limit to what you want to do. So maybe once we get through here, we'll talk about what saved data sources are and how you can use them and what they can be used for. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and connect to the waffle chart template, and it's going to put this there, but we're going to go edit our data source because we don't have anything in there right now. So as you can see here, it's just a very simple columns, and it's a 2-column, 100 row data source. You can see I have a row for 10 columns, 10 rows, 10 by 10 equals 100. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a connection in here, and as you can see here, whenever you add a connection when you try to connect something to a TDS, your only options are to add flat files or servers. You cannot join 2 TDSs together. You cannot join or relate 2 Tableau data sources, TDS files, together. So it's okay because Tableau provides out of the box an Excel file of Superstore. So you can see here we have the Superstore TDS file, but here you can see we have the Microsoft Excel file. So we'll click on that, we'll click on open, and it's going to add a connection for the Superstore. I'm going to drag orders out here, and I'm going to relate these things together. Now how I'm going to relate these together are essentially going to be a cross join where I want every row of my data in my Superstore data to be related to every single row in my template, right? My waffle template, right? So that's what we need to think about. Now in the old world, before relationships, you would have to do an actual physical join, a cross join of these, which creates just a massive data set. because basically every row in your data is duplicated 100 times, which, is large. So it's already a 5,000 row data set. Put on top of that 100 rows on top of that, and you've got a large data set. But thanks to relationships, we don't need to do that anymore. But we do need to use relationship calculations for this, and it's just going to be a cross join of 1 equals 1. Right? So I'm putting a 1 on every row in my data source, and I'm putting a row on every I'm adding a 1 to every single row in my waffle chart, and I'm adding a 1 to every single row in my orders data set, and then I'm going to join on those. So that's kind of how you get that cross-join effect. Tableau says, yep, you're good, thank you, and we get data populated here, and we're good to go. So that's how we set up the data source to create waffle charts. But there's a little bit more that goes into it. So let's go ahead and do this. It's going to generate an extract. TDSs by design are extracts. So that's how you can kind of think about those. Now, to build this, very simply, just take your column. It must be discrete. It doesn't necessarily have to be a dimension. It doesn't really matter. I've just formatted mine to be dimensions. Discrete dimensions, and you're just gonna copy them out, right? So column to columns, rows to rows, and I get this nice little, I'm gonna go ahead and build this up full screen. Obviously Tableau says, oh, you want to do a text table, and I don't. I want squares, right? And now you can start to see this coming together, right? Waffle charts are pretty easy by design. They just take a little bit of understanding to get to them. So we got 10 rows, we got 10 columns, we got there. What I'm going to do is while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my tooltip, or turn off my column headers and row headers, and exclude the tooltips in there. I also know that I'm not going to need any tooltips, so I'll go ahead and turn those off as well. Now, if we look at this, we need to create this, right? We need to be able to create this. So essentially what we're doing is we need to figure out, the first thing that we need to do is figure out the KPIs. So we need to figure out what is the percent of sales for each customer segment. So what we're going to do here, let's see. How are we going to do this? Let's do create a calculated field. We'll call this consumer percent, and it's going to be the sum of if segment is equal to consumer, then return sales, else 0, divided by total sum of sales, right? That creates a table calculation because I'm using the total function. That's all right. Table calculations are not scary, right? We all know this. Sure, you could write a fixed calculation to do the fixed sum of sales, but sure, go do that. But just know that table calculations are not scary. We can figure all this out, right? Okay, so we've got that. And now what we need to do, if you can imagine, if I put, each square is a percentage point. That's what you can imagine, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, right? So right here would be 10%, 20, 30, 40, and so on, right? So what I need to do is I need to create a calculation that, so right now I just have 1 by 1, 2 by 1, 3 by 1, 4 by 1. So I basically need to create something to count each of these squares. And whenever you think of counting marks, right? Whenever you hear or you're thinking about the concept of counting marks, the first thing you should be thinking about is an index, right? So this is my waffle index. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create my index calculation, right? Now, also, so this is just going to count them, and it's going to count them as integers, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But I've got consumer percentage as a percentage point. That's not good. how do I get these together? Well, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my index and just divide it by 100, right? And that's going to give me, I'm going to count the squares as percentages, right? So now, so if I do this and I take this up here and I drop it on label, now, right now you can just see it's just doing, Tableau tries to figure out how do you want us to count this. It doesn't know, but we're going to go ahead and force it. And actually, what I can do, we'll go into our edit calculation. We'll go into our default table calculation, which is table across. But actually, I can go in here and I can go to compute using. I'll go to advanced. And I'll just choose rows and columns, right? And when I do that now, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 100, right? So now I don't have to mess with the scope and direction every time I want to use this now, because I have basically hard-coded, if you will, hard-coded the scope and direction of that index function every single time. Now what I need to do, if we take this consumer percentage and we drop that on labels, you're going to see I get the same percentage on each one, right? And it's 53.2. It's 50.32 is the percentage of total sales for the consumer segment. One thing that I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to edit this calculation, and I'm going to round my calculation here to 2 decimal places, right? So if I do that, now everything's on the same scale. So 50.5032. So now whenever I take my waffle index here, you can see I'm at the same level, right? So I'm at the same level of significant digits, I should say. All right, so we'll take that off because I don't need it. All I need in the view are rows and columns, because that's what I'm using to create my, that's what I'm doing my scope and direction on. So now what I'm going to do is essentially I just need to create a calculated field that compares my consumer percentage calculation to my waffle index calculation. So I'll call this consumer color. Okay. Yep. All right. So we'll do consumer percentage is greater than or equal to my waffle index. And now I'm going to take I can take percentage off. Consumer color, I'm going to go and I'm going to drop that onto color. And there you go. Right? So half of those filled up. Right? Now, what if I wanted it the other way around? Right? Because if you look at he's got his going top down. But if you're trying to do, just think about the way that we want to do this, right? If you're thinking of percent of total, maybe it makes sense to go top to bottom. But if you're doing like a percent to goal, right? Because that's another percent to target, a percent of total or something like that. If you're trying to do a percent to goal or something, you might think about switching that so that your dark blocks are on the bottom, so that you can imagine it. You're kind of setting the metaphor of filling up, right, as opposed to top down. Either way, either one's up to you. If you want to do that, all you got to do is just switch the operator from greater than to less than, and that'll do it, right? So if you do this, right, not that one, consumer color here, edit. If you just flip this around, well, I mean, essentially these will flip, right? Just like that. Oh yeah, and we'd have to get rid of that. There we go. There you go. So either way you want to do it, it's up to you. I kind of like the greater than or equal to. And that kind of flips everything around. Totally up to you though. All right. And that's it. That's your waffle chart. That is all there is to it. So now we'll just go in here. Let's go ahead and do our colors. My false is going to be gray. My true is going to be kind of a purple color. That looks good. We said no tooltips. We turn those off. That's good. We'll turn off. Let's do some more formatting. There's another trick or tip for you. A trip or tick, as I tried to say that quickly. What we're going to do here is we're just going to duplicate these. We're going to duplicate this sheet and then just change out this. We're just going to change out this color or this field to be different things for each of our different segments. I'll go ahead and name this consumer so that we can keep an eye on it. But my tip or trick for you is, if we're going to be doing that, we're only going to touch our formatting one time, and that's going to be in our main sheet. So let's get our main sheet right, and then we just duplicate and be done quicker, right? So we'll copy, we'll do right click in our view, click format. We're going to go ahead and get rid of our row dividers. We don't need those. Make sure everything else is on none. It is. We're good to go. All right, we got no tooltips. We like our colors. Everything's good. All right, so let's go now and let's duplicate. And then we need to duplicate our consumer percent and our consumer color. Our consumer percent is going to be corporate. And then we just change out consumer for corporate. Now we'll do our color. We'll do our corporate color. And change this to corporate. Not cooperate. Corporate. There we go. There we go. That looks good. Change this to corporate. And then I'll just change this. I'll double click in here. I'll double click here and I'll change this to corporate. Nope. Corporate color. There we go. And I changed that. So let's go back. Let's watch this. So when you're here, right, and if you notice, I double clicked in this pill to change what it is, and my color stayed the same. Sometimes that works. Or sometimes if I were to take corporate color and just drag it on, see how my colors change? That's not what I want. So by double clicking in the pill to change it, it retains my formatting, which is pretty interesting, right? So it retains my color formatting. All right, so that's good. We're looking good there. So now what we're going to do, let's duplicate this. And you got it right now, right? So consumer color, consumer percent, duplicate, edit, consumer percent, call this, what's the other? Home office. And then we just change these over, right? Home office. Edit here, home office. There we go, call this home office. And then we'll just double click in here, home office, and there we go. Call this home office. There we go. Now, It's pretty much done. So now what we need to do is just create a new sheet, take customer segment, drop it on columns, take sales, put it on there, change this to percent of total, format, percentage 0%. How do we have this done? We got 50% in consumers, so we'll drop segment also on there. Go into our text. What are we looking at here? Percentage and then the name of the segment. So grab that, drop it down here, go in between, hit enter, that up there, and we'll make this one, I think both of these are 16. 16 looks good to me. Make it bold. Nope. Make this medium. Let's see what that looks like. Click OK. OK. Click OK. Entire view. Format. Center. Don't show the header. Copy formatting. Paste formatting. The reason that I did that is to remove. That's a quick way to remove your borders and any other sheet formatting. Now it did overwrite my alignment, but that's okay. So we'll do that. That looks good to me. I like that. It did also not preserve my number formatting, so we'll have to go change that again. There we go. That looks good. Now what do we do? Well, percent. This is header. All right, let's go create our dashboard here. This is a, what are we looking at here? 1,000 by 525. There we go. Drop in a add some padding. Always add, drop a vertical in. Then go to layout, drop some padding in. We'll do 20. Drop a blank in to the vertical. Let's see. Text. Yeah, text box up here. Semi-bold, do that 20, wow 22, 52, let's make waffles. Do that, well we'll drop this down to 12. Yep. And then we'll do percent of total segment, right? Okay, percent of, whoop, change this back to book. Percent of sales by segment. Something like that, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. I wanted this to be 12. There we go. There we go. All right, now we're going to drop in a horizontal. We're going to space these evenly. Consumer, corporate office, home office, remove our header, or remove our legend, I should say. Remove our titles. I am going to add a bit of padding to each one of these sheets. And what I'm going to do is, not that one, this one. I want 10 on this side. On this one, I guess we could do 10 all around, right? Let's do that. There we go. 10 on this side. There we go. And then if we wanted to, this is where things get really tricky, and this is where Tableau still has a lot of room. If I do that, I want to make these a little. I want to make these squares a little bigger, reduce the space in between. But you have to go to individual sheets to do that, and you just kind of have to guess. That looks good. And then, unfortunately, size is not something that copies over with formatting. So you kind of have to try your best to get it exactly right. And then you just gotta hope, and you just gotta hope. You just gotta hope. That's all you gotta do. There we go. That looks good. Now, kind of doing an optical illusion where if you look at it, it looks like there's squares in between the squares. There's little tiny gray squares in between the squares, but there's not. It's just an optical illusion. It's pretty cool. And now we'll go back to our header, and then we'll drop in our header sheet. Remove that. We will remove our blank. That's already entire view. We'll increase the size of this. We'll see what 75 looks like. That looks good. Yeah, that looks good to me. What do you think? Pretty good? Yeah. Now one of the things he says here is you can make it with circles or squares. So let's see what kind of let's see what other kind of things you can do here since we've got the time, right? This is a pretty quick one. So I changed it to squares. You can change it to circles. Right? It looks kind of nice. Maybe it's easier to read. You certainly don't have that. You don't have that element. You don't have that optical illusion happening. But it doesn't stop there. You can turn this into a shape mark. And now you have the entire library of custom shapes, right? Which could be nice. If you wanted to, you could, change this into a bunch of different things. Kind of whatever you want to make it, right? So, there you go. We'll go back. We'll leave these as I kind of like them as circles, don't you? I kind of like them as circles. We'll turn them all to circles. Circle, circle, circle. There we go. All right, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Waffle charts are pretty great, pretty nice. Like I said, this one is percent of total, so it makes one of the things you can do is decide if you want your color to be on the top or the bottom. We added a nice header to the bottom so you could see what those are, which is pretty nice as well. Yeah, this has been pretty good. So let us go back. There we go. Come back to this. So there you have it. Week 52, Workout Wednesday, Tableau. Last thing that I want to show you or talk about or mention, few things, right? So this is the last one, but we've got some exciting new updates. Maybe you've seen it on Twitter or social. I know we shared it out earlier this week, but we've got some new things coming for Workout Wednesday next year. We are adding CRM analytics. So we are adding the Salesforce CRM analytics arm to Workout Wednesday. So Power BI, still going strong. We got Tableau, still going strong. We're entering our, let's see, Andy started this in 2017. This is 2023. That's Nope. 6 years, right? Yeah. Trying to do math in my head. Yes. 6 years. It's crazy. It's awesome. I love it. So, let's have some fun with this. We're going to do this next year. I'm still going to do these live streams. I really enjoy it. It's been really fun. Check us out. We'll be back next week. I think we're just going to continue with the same. Oh, that's another thing. We got Donna Coles, Tableau Visionary and Tableau Forums Ambassador. Donna Coles is going to be joining the Tableau Workout Wednesday team next year. So we've got a new person with new challenges. So we've got 6 coaches now, which is just really awesome. And we're excited to see what 2023 brings. Thank you for joining us in 2022. Go back and try some old challenges, try some new ones, and we'll catch you next year. So, with that, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you learned some things out of this, and we will see you in 2023. Go forth and viz.